nickname Christopher. I'd like to thank my higher power, who I choose to call Jesus Christ, for allowing me this opportunity to get things right. In the book of 1 Maqqebet, chapter 3, verses 13 through 22. 1 Maqqebet, chapter 3, verses 13 through 22. It reads, Now when Sihon, a prince of the army of Syria, heard say that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of faithful to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight with Judas and them that are with him who despise the king's commandment. So he made him ready to go up, and there went with him a mighty host of the ungodly to help him, and to be avenged of the children of Israel. And when he came near to the going up of Beth Horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the hosts coming to meet them, said unto Judas, How shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day? Verse 18, unto whom Judas answered, It is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. And with the God of heaven, it is all one, to deliver with a great multitude or a small company. Watch this, verse 19. For the victory of battles standeth not in the multitude of a host, but strength cometh from heaven. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us and our wives and children and to spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws. Wherefore the Lord himself will overthrow them before our face. And as for you, be ye not afraid of them. So is the reading of the word. Verses 19 through 21 again, it says, for the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of a host, but strength cometh from heaven. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us and our wives and our children and to spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws. That comes out of the Apocrypha, which is an extension of the King James Version. 1 Maqqebet, Judas Maccabees, or Judah Maccabeus. In Greek, it's Maccabeus, meaning the hammer. He took on the fight against the Seleucids, against the Greeks, after his father Mattathias had passed, and Judas took up the mantle to continue to fight. What I like about the book of Maccabees is it's a battle, it's a book of war. It's a book of war. And you'll read through, if you read the first book of Maccabees, they were in war throughout the whole book. I believe it was 14 chapters, 16. And they were at war the whole time. Mattathias, he had 5 sons. Jonathan, Judas, John, Eleazar, and Simon, or Simeon, I believe. And after each brother passes, because Judas, he dies in battle. He doesn't die till chapter 9. But under his leadership, he liberated Israel, recaptured the temple of Judah, tore down the abomination of desolation, reconstituted and reinstituted the laws of Israel. And they celebrate that feast. They celebrate that victory today, known as Hanukkah. Hanukkah means to rededicate. But it's a real interesting piece. But that's not the focal point that I really wanted to talk about. I want to highlight that through that whole book, again, they were at war. What I love about it is that before every battle, they prayed to God. Lord, have mercy. Before every battle, Judas, after he passes the torch to Jonathan. Before every battle, they all prayed to God. They got down on their knees and they prayed to God. Sometimes they would fast before then. And God delivered their enemies in their hands every time. Every time. It's one part in the book where who's leading at the time? I think it was either Jonathan or Simeon, where they had went into battle, got ambushed, retreated, and while the enemies were following them, they stopped, regathered themselves, prayed, went back instead of retreating, continuing retreating, went back into battle and defeated the enemy. Lord have mercy. Did you hear what I said? They went to war, got ambushed, retreated, regathered themselves, prayed to God, then went right back into battle and defeated the enemy. Retreat is not defeat. That's who you have to be, young black man. You have to be Judas Maccabeus. You have to be Jonathan. You have to be Simeon. You have to be Eleazar, who ran into battle towards a war elephant who he saw was decorated with king's garments and cloaks. It had towers. The elephants were huge. The elephant had a tower on it that it was hauling, who Eleazar was for sure that a general or a king was on. And the Eleazar, he runs towards the elephant, but before he does, he tells the troops, do not be afraid, for the enemy will fall at this day. He runs towards the war elephant, slashes through the soldiers to get to the elephant, and guts the elephant as he runs under it. The elephant ends up falling on him and killing him consequently, but he killed the elephant. But the image that the warriors on his side saw was a leader. Who died on what he believed in. You read this in the book of Maqqebet. But we are at war. And we have been for decades. And for people who were supposed to be close to us to not prepare us for this war that we're in. See, when we're in a physical war, it's different. You can see the enemy, right? It's evident then. But to fight an enemy that you can't see, when you're fighting an enemy that you can't see, I forget the philosopher who says, or the psychologist who says, it's hard to fight an enemy who has outposts set up in your head. See, this battle is mental, spiritual. See, the physical war, black man, they can't mess with you at. You already have them trumped physically. Because of the things that your grandparents and ancestors had to go through, created in you an unstoppable gene physically, you see. The Willie Lynch letter of 1712 and 1714, he was a vicious slave owner from the West Indies. The slave owners of the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. The word lynching is derived from his last name. His methods were simple yet diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind. So you have your body, black man. You have your strength. You look like a man. But your mind is still under attack. Your mind, your spirit is still at war, black man. I am here to help you to find, take back, and keep your righteous mind. Because it's obvious that you have lost it. I get that from Denzel Washington when he played Dr. Tolson in the Great Debaters. Check out that movie. But he was right. Young black man, the physical war you have in the bag, that's not the problem. It's the mental and spiritual war that you are losing. And see, the only people who can train you up for that are other black men. And some of y'all have been raised by these women to such a degree that you can't even conceive of the notion of taking orders from other men, which is why you are losing. You see, when men lead or parent, we'll say that, when men parent, the discipline or the authority that's pushed onto the child comes from the image of the man alone. You see, we hear that you've been acting up, your father is coming. That alone will get the child in order. See, the image of the father alone gets the kid in order. The father doesn't have to beat the child. See, these mothers beat the children. The father alone will just stand in position and the child will act right. That's what's being missed. Your society has been taken from you, child. The mother is the nurturer, the caregiver. She is not meant to be the disciplinarian. See, the father will teach you to respect authority, man and woman, and other children. When you are disciplined by women, you learn to only respect them and nothing else. And it's really not even respect. It's really now simping. It's time for y'all brothers to stop simping for these women. That's why you are losing. You can't conceive of taking orders from men, which is why you are having a hard time being one. She is not teaching you to go to bat or to war with a system that is at war with you, because the system is financing her. So she is not teaching you who the enemy is. So you are sent out into the world unprepared, uneducated, blinded. I came across this term the day before yesterday, and it's called familiar diversity. It's actually called family diversity, and they're teaching that to these women in these liberal universities. And all familiar or family diversity is really just about, role switching, or, roles, assigned gender roles in the relationships or in marriage or in the family structure, that emphasizes that, women can be the mothers and the fathers, and you don't need a father in the household, or it can be two mothers and one can be the father, one can be the mass, that's a term they use, meaning the masculine, But see, when I hear that, all I hear is them teaching you to to step further away from God's natural order. You see, when men lead, we lead with conservatism. We lead with traditionalism. We lead with the nuclear family. Man, woman, and child. God, man, woman, and child. That's the nuclear family. They stripped that from you, black man. Anything outside of that is unnatural. You have been programmed to accept everything, which I believe is another reason why these women don't respect you. Because you accept everything. You don't stand on nothing except, well, I'm not even really going to say beef with your own brother anymore. You brothers are being completely effeminized. People love talking about how black men love killing other black men. Shoot, that percentage has or statistic has decreased so much that you can't even trump that anymore. You can't even really mention that anymore. These brothers ain't killing nothing. But that liberalism has hindered black men. You know, I have this theory here. And it's so far as proving itself. You know, my theory is in terms of like suits, right? Suit wearing. The tie on the suit, right, represents the phallus, right? Because it's long, it's a shaft. When the collar is open, you see a lot of these guys wearing suits today without ties, and the collar is open. It's an upside down V. That's the chalice. That's the vagina. That's the womb. That's what women don't wear ties. They aren't supposed to wear ties. That's a masculine, because I believe that's a military piece. I believe I heard that years ago from the military that the tie is a symbol of masculinity in the military. So they don't have women wearing ties in the military. They'll either have them wearing one without a tie, or the collar is open, which represents the womb, which represents the feminine. The tie represents the masculinity. So when I see these brothers wearing these suits without the ties, to me, that's a sign that these brothers have acquiesced to the gynocracy that we know today. They acquiesce to the feminization of black men, and they have opted to allow women to lead. I want you to look at that. When you watch the news, most of these black men, these liberals who are wearing suits without the ties, they're up there talking about immigration and accepting women leading and LGBT this, and they're anti-heterosexual male. There's nothing intimidating about them. I want you to check that, because there's symbols and signs for the conscious mind. You know, everybody can shit on black men, but we're not supposed to say anything. And that also stems from the tail end of the Gen X generation who worshiped the ground that women walked on. While these brothers were worshiping the ground that these black women walked on, black women were going on national TV talking about how black men weren't shit. Oprah and Maury and all these shows where they painted you as a deadbeat dad and absent, when the studies have shown clearly that black men are the most involved in their children's lives. You are at war. This is stuff that's been happening for decades, but for some reason, black men just have not said anything. And I think, again, because that stems from, you know, our desire and innate gene to take care of our family. As long as we were able to take care of our families, you could say and do whatever you wanted. And a lot of those brothers, the Gen X generation, the baby boomer generation, they didn't care. And even up until today, a lot of the well-off or well-to-do Negroes, they still stand on that liberal side as long as they're able to take care of themselves. And back then, the cost of living was only, what, 50 cents. So, yeah, I can work 2-3 jobs and not lose sleep because I saw the return on investment instantly. Where today, the cost of living is $1 million. So brothers aren't working 2-3 jobs only to work themselves into a grave. You brothers are at war. You know, people were mad at Donald Trump, you know, and this is another piece right here politically. You know, you black men have to come off of Keisha's side, black women's side. They don't like Donald Trump because Donald Trump came in with a masculine aura saying, I'm getting rid of this feminine shit. They didn't like him because that's what he brought to the table. And you brothers fell right in line with that. The Democratic Party, they believed in everything that was anti-male. And the issue with that is other races of men have been financed for decades, so they could afford to be on the opposite end of the male push. They could afford to take the blunt and the vitriol that was spewed out. Other men could. You can't, black man. Your finances have been attacked from the beginning of our sojourn here in America. So when these liberals were pushing LGBT and for this, that, and immigration, this, and down with men, you who followed behind that ended up being shitted on. You are at war. And the old Negroes who followed behind that Democratic push didn't say anything because they were retiring and they didn't want to jeopardize their pensions. I'll debate anybody on this. I asked a young man at my job the other day. He's 19, turning 20. And the young ladies at the job, they love his drawers. And this brother smells like he wakes up fresh out the bed. A complete lack of understanding of the importance of hygiene. And these women love his drawers. And that goes to show you where their mindset is. I asked him, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you say your generation is? He said 3. He hesitated at first. But then I kept prying and he admitted it and the spirit brought it out of him. He said, I say we're at a 3. Damn. Mind you, he's 19. This is the single black mother raised generation. Don't blame that on black men. You said that y'all didn't need us. For decades, you were saying you didn't need us and you pushed us out. And then you had the Gen X generation encouraging the bullshit by saying we respect single motherhood. Y'all, a woman can raise a man by a woman can raise a man and all that type of stuff. Y'all told them that. And then now we're seeing the aftermath of it. These kids are horrible. And the same old niggas who said that, oh yeah, they can be single mothers, they can raise men, are the same old niggas who's talking about how these kids are behaving today. Well, where did it come from? You got to blame the mothers. And for some reason, y'all are afraid to call them out on that. How is change supposed to take place? You talk about accountability. Black men, we're the only people held accountable. There's nobody in this country held more account than black men. Nobody. You are at war. But this is a war of the mind and spirit. Physically, no one can handle you, black man. That's why you are the only person who always that's why you always catch the tail end of the brunt or the brunt of the attack, because you are always having to restrain yourself. Meanwhile, the opposition is coming full force at you, shooting you, stabbing you, your own woman stabbing you, Keisha shooting you, police shooting you, white folks shooting you, Arabs shooting you, Asians shooting you. Everybody taking you out, black man, because you are always having to restrain yourself. Physically, nobody can do anything with you. That's not the problem. The problem is mental and spiritual. Get back in that gym, black man. Get back under them weights. Push them weights around. Read. Pick up a book, black man. Pick up a book and make that a norm. Start reading. See, for some reason you think that if you start reading, then you'll be missing out on something. You're not missing out on anything. See, at my job, The women on my shift, they're beautiful sisters, beautiful. And I hold them up because they are maintaining a decent spirit. But most of the black women who I come across, I can feel the demonic spirit on them because they are worshiping mammon, money, titles, and positions, and not God. And I can feel that on them. So I don't click with them. Where you brothers are messing up at is trying to, you are worshiping money and material and not God. You are God's chosen men. And the commandment is that you have no other God before him. That's why these demons are getting over on you. Think about it, black man. If Satan has the world, why are you trying to be a part or what's the word? Not you can say acclimate, but assimilate. Why are you trying to assimilate into a world that the enemy holds and wants you dead? You are God's chosen man. You do not have any business trying to I want to say accumulate. I don't want to say that exactly, but you have no business trying to nail yourself down to anything of this world. You are at war. And somebody should have told y'all this, young black man. At my job, I do what I can. My purpose is to teach. And so when I bequeath information on to, God puts me in front of important people. I'm probably one of the only few people who have sat down with our COO of the company, our chief officer of operations, God has put me in front of these people, in front of, management, administration, ever since I was a kid, since I first came into the workforce, because I've never been afraid to be in front of them. While other people are trying to stay out the way, ain't that the way? You ask them how they doing, they say, I'm trying to stay out the way. While others are trying to stay out the way, I'm trying to get more in the way, get more into a better position so I can put myself more in the way so that people can see what's possible. Because you want to be the change you want to see. I want to be the change I want to see. I want to change. I want to see a change. I want to see my brothers doing better. And so a man thinketh, so he is. And so therefore I am the change until I can see it manifest through my brothers. I believe in that. But I got to get y'all away from these women. I got to get y'all away from these Keishas, man, because you guys' minds are too warped around coochie. Meanwhile, the enemy is still sifting you as wheat. and using the same women that you're trying to get close to destroy you. You jokers better wake up, man, and take the reins of this thing. Nah, a horse has reins. Help you steer it. You have to take the reins on this horse. And at my job, I do my best to speak to our supervisors. I had this young brother. He was a supervisor, 26 years old. And I had just shifted. I just moved to this shift. And I got to him 2 weeks too late. When I first hit the shift, I immediately started ministering to him, started directing him. Listen, man, you at war. I kept telling him, you at war. And even when you don't think you are, you have to operate as if you are accordingly. We are, as Dr. Neely Fuller puts it, POWs, prisoners of war over here in this hostile environment. And you black men have to act accordingly until you can get to a better position. And I was telling him, listen, man, you are at war. I'm telling him, listen, man, dude, you know what I'm saying? You got a good head on your shoulders, brother. I'm just speaking life to him every chance I get, unbeknownst to me, that he had already got a beef started with some people up there. And they ended up having to let this brother go last week, man. You know, he's going out on the break, smoking with these guys on the job, you know, trying to fit in. You know, it's you brothers, man, got to wake up. On my own, the shift that I came from, I had this one supervisor, real good guy. And I was telling him, I'm like, listen, man, he had allowed the shift to degenerate. He allowed these women to take control. They got music playing where every word is a cuss word. They twerking on the line, no decorum. I'm telling them, listen, man, you got to get in front of this stuff, man. Because I was on the shift when it was decent. I'm watching it decline. And you got to say something, man. He wouldn't say anything. Real, liberal guy, He let it decline. I said, man, you got to get in front of this. I just kept telling him, listen, man, you got to get in front of this. I want to see you win. You got to get in front of this. He never did. Meanwhile, they brought in this another guy to shadow him. And he was shadowing the supervisor for 2 months. So he saw this shift in rare form. These people, acting like they ain't got no sense. I just kept telling him, listen, man, you got to get in front of it. You got to get in front of it. He ends up suspending me for 3 days behind the guise of points because they started coming down on these supervisors. And, these supervisors, man, they can be real cowardly. They can be real cowardly. Management can be real cowardly. Their thing is punish the workers instead of figuring out how can they make it better. When administration gets come down on by, the board of directors, the administration then comes down on management. Management then comes down on the supervision. Supervision then punches down on the workers. They always do it. You see it at your job every day. Real cowardly stuff, And if that's the notion where you feel like I'm, punish the Negroes, that's coward shit to me. So that's what he did. And so when I came back, I didn't say anything to him, But right when we, made up, right when we buried the hatchet, I'm grateful that God allowed that to happen. Because right when we buried the hatchet, they got rid of his ass and they put the person that was shadowing him in charge. And the guy that shadowed him was real nonsense. And he nipped all that in the bud by force. And so these workers, and so them Keishas, those women up there, they called themselves rebelling. You mean we can't act ratchet anymore? We can't twerk on the line? He said, no, they called themselves rebelling and not coming to work. He utilized some resources, extracted some workers from another line, and he fired their asses. This ship gonna run without y'all. See, black men, this is what I need y'all to understand. You are the backbone of this country. You drive it. Nothing is moving without you. I've watched at my job. They tried to replace you with Mexicans. That didn't work. They tried to replace you with these Africans. That didn't work. They trying to replace you with everything, and it doesn't work. That's why they trying so hard with this AI shit. You know, they need robots to replace you, black man. You hear what I'm saying? They got to step outside of this dimension to try to replace you. You have no allies. Stop acting like everybody is your friend. Stop defending these immigrants, these foreigners. Stop speaking life to them, but then speaking death on your own people. Stop it, black man. See, somebody needs to tell y'all this. I'm not trying to say this stuff with any hate, but I am saying it with disappointment, blatant disappointment. I'm disappointed in the way this society is falling. I'm disappointed in the way our women have fallen off. I'm disappointed in the way our brothers have acquiesced to this feminization and this gynocracy. I'm disappointed in it. Because the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Or is the flesh willing and the spirit weak? Either way, you guys are off balance. I'm for brothers leading. I'm for us knowing our shit, studying, reading, researching, not just word of mouth, YouTube, Google bullshit. I mean, sit down, pick up a book, hit a library, sit at the feet of people who lived through certain things. Keep living, as the old folks say, and experience. One of the powerful messages that I have is that I'll be 37 this year. I'll be 37 this year. And a lot of the stuff that those old heads were telling me when I was in my early and mid 20s is coming to life now. I'm a witness now. So my message to you brothers would be, you are at war, and it's time that you act accordingly. And you have to be of a sober mind. Put down the weed. Put down the alcohol. Put down trying to screw everything moving and get serious. The time for play will come back around. But it's time for you brothers, black men, foundational black American men, it's time for you to get serious. This shit ain't no game. It's not going to always be easy. We're not asking for perfection. We're asking for progression. It's not perfection, it's progression. And it's going to start with you just having to make people uncomfortable. And you'll do that by taking back the helm. See, people are comfortable with you just being a field hand. As long as you stay inebriated, blowed out of your mind, and working on the line, nobody has problem with that. But when you put down those drugs and get in your sober mind and say that I'm more than just a line worker, I want to go back to school, I want to strive to be more, I want to do something for my community, that's when everybody has a problem with you. I'm experiencing that. So, again, black men, I'm going to keep emphasizing you are at war. But this isn't just a battle of the physical, this is a spiritual and mental and emotional war. You are being attacked from all dimensions. And because nobody has prepared you or told you, you are constantly being outflanked, outmaneuvered, hit from the blind side. Sometimes it be right in front of you and you don't know because you don't know what to look for. So I'll start right there, just to at least mention and let you know that you are at war. That's the problem. So when I come back, we'll talk about some solutions. We'll dive more into those. I touched on a few, but I want to immerse you in the solutions to what I'm doing that's helping me. Another piece right here is the amount of witchcraft and voodoo that was put on you as a child, that carried all the way into your adulthood, that hindered your progress, that was put on to you by your own people. Let's talk about that. Yeah. See, a lot of this stuff has been passed down. They talk about generational curses. A lot of the women in your life had passed down curses and practiced voodoo and witchcraft on you, young man, when you were making mistakes and didn't have nobody around to help guide you. And because they didn't have the patience to even figure out what was wrong, they just burnt candles on you and you went through life struggling. Let's talk about that. You've been attacked from all sides, black man. You've been attacked from all sides, man. And you need spiritual revival, emotional renewal, mental restoration. cerebral reciprocation. So I've been up since 6 studying. I've been up since 6, actually 5. But I've been up officially since 6 a.m. studying, hitting these books, man. Just trying to continue to be better. That's all I want to do is be better. Be a better individual, a better example to somebody. You know, I'm for my brothers winning, man. And if anybody is against that, then they against you, black man. That includes these women. If they against you, black man, trying to do something for yourself, that's a problem. You know, we talk about this new era Detroit. These brothers have started a movement down here in Detroit. You know, one of their bases are right there at the corner of my job where I work. You know, I'm disappointed in myself for not stopping in there yet. I need to get around there and join the movement for real. But I do my part through here, you know, every day I do my part to uplift a brother, you know, uplift a community, to be the opposite and go against those stereotypical representations they have of us. You know, I do that every day. But these brothers have started a movement, New Era Detroit. They walk around, uplift each other, pay people gas, they lights, introduce all type of resources. And these women have latched themselves onto it, and they're trying to use that momentum and then pull out and start their own women's organization. Throughout the history, every time black men have organized a movement or organization, they did it for the whole community. Whenever black women do something, they do it just for themselves, and their desire to separate from us is a problem. And this is huge. This plays a huge role as to why we can't get shit done, because we need each other. But then when we start some movement going, here comes some women that want to attach themselves to it and separate. Y'all got to stop that shit, man. Y'all got to stop that separation shit. I hate that, man. But that's that liberal shit. That's what they've been they've been teaching. Them universities been teaching these women that they don't need to separate yourself from us. That's a problem, man. Well, I'm excited to hear your feedback, your pushback, if you have any. Yeah. Just make sure that you come with scholarship and not emotionalism. I'll be waiting for my neighbors to come and say something. I know they be hearing me, but, you know, I'll be waiting on them to come and, have a conversation with me, but they ain't doing it yet. So I'll just keep teaching, and they can hear by proxy, But that's what I do. Most of the time I'm teaching Bible on here. I'm teaching some type of scripture, But I just wanted to drop that because some things have to be said, and it won't change. And if it's a problem, it won't change until it gets addressed. So that's all I have. That's all I have for you guys this morning. Again, I'll be back on here with the solutions. Addict named Christopher, thank you for allowing me to share.